Hello. So I'm Helen,
Hi, and I'm Szara.
and we have a question for you. And the question really is, do you struggle with the difference between an expectation and an agreement?
Mm. And after like the conversations we've been having over the last couple of days on expectations, right? Like we've
Hmm.
been actually having a really interesting and intriguing with lots of discovery for myself conversation about expectations and what's right there. This next space that we really saw, or I really saw for myself and what I'm dealing with over where I am in my household is what happens when there is an agreement. Like there is
Mm.
something that one of my kids have agreed to or we've created together, like something as simple as like a recycling,
Hmm.
and it's like, what then? Because an agreement could quickly become an expectation, like an expectation that that agreement actually happens. And
Hmm.
how do we approach that so that like, our commitment gets to be present and what we're actually forwarding for our children and our family gets to be there.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
really great question because part of what I notice for myself is that I have an expectation out of an agreement that's made for sure. And then the part that the thing that I'm most uncomfortable, I think, is having people be accountable and holding people be accountable for the agreements. But here's the kicker without making them wrong.
Hmm. Yeah, because the expectation piece is like, well, that's the agreement. Like, to be very specific, like my son, he requested to earn some extra money around the house to
Hmm.
buy something because
Hmm.
he's looking to have some money of his own, and so we're looking for some of the jobs that currently people don't have chores for that he
Hmm.
could earn money, and he created taking out the recycling for X number of times or weeks or
Yeah.
whatever it specifically
And
was.
I bet you he was
And
really excited about what he
he was
created
super
with you.
excited, and like the first couple of times he actually really followed through on it, and he had a
Hmm.
sense of pride and ownership. I know for ourselves we were fulfilled in like, this works, it's forwarding something,
Hmm.
it's mutual, it's like it's
Hmm.
really check marking the things that we were creating with it. And then and then all of a sudden it's like he didn't want to, or he didn't when he said he would, or all of these things, and I'm left over where I am managing the agreement. And
Hmm.
it's like, and then that it leaves something where I am like, there's
Hmm.
something like, wait a second, when, like, and again, as a parent, I'm here to like lift up my, so there's a space where like I want to support my kids for sure, and at the same time, when it becomes extra work, I guess maybe is the
Hmm.
conversation on myself, like
Hmm.
it becomes more work for me to then manage somebody else's agreement, or to like, have them excited about it or remembered about it, or
Hmm.
like following through without complaint about it or something else. It's like, or if there is complaint around it, it's like, it's just so triggering. It's like, I
Yeah.
noticed like he was in the kitchen, you know, it's not sorted. And it was like this big kind of dramatic kind of event, right? And it was like, he was dealing with the fact that, what work takes and what, agreeing to something actually takes.
Yes.
And it's this place where like there's, I can hear from myself, it's like it is so valid where he is, like, oh my
Of
gosh, I'm
course.
so in even my own agreements as an adult, I agree to things and it's like, oh, or whatever.
Hands down.
And at the same time, I notice the expectation for me, what right away shows up is like, whoa, it's almost like you don't get the right to have a complaint about it, or you don't get the right to like have me have to like, you know I don't know, there was something over where I was. There was like, oh, like I'm forcing him, or I'm laying on him, or there was a certain conversation it occurred that he had about me that like
Hmm.
just made it like, no, no. Like, it's like there's an expectation that you're gonna follow through on your
Hmm.
agreement happily, without
Yes.
complaint,
Yes.
and like doing it as designed. Thank you. And actually, even in saying that, I can see, even when I created the agreement, to be truthful, and this is actually great because looking ahead, I did, because of like other scenarios in the past, like this maybe, it's like part of the agreement was actually like, and you will do it happily, like, because this is like your agreement that you're making as
Mm.
the opportunity, and it was
Mm.
actually part of the agreement that we made as the whole picture of it. But I noticed it's interesting, like, what is there for me when I put that into the agreement?
Yeah. Like there's an expectation that if you make an agreement with me, it needs to be executed. So for you, it's happily. For me,
Or
it's
without
with,
complaint, at least.
yeah. For me, it's not with 63 reminders, and that it's my job to remind you. That would be my expectation of an agreement. See how they start to all get like mushed up together. I was going to say
Yeah.
well, mushty.
Yeah, because then as soon as like, my son comes out and there's that complaint piece there, it's like I'm right back to an expectation. Like I'm
Mm,
right back down to like the communication can digress very quickly. There can be a reaction. There can be
yeah.
a, well, then what are we going to do about this? Well, then that money, like it's just like it becomes like, again, the reaction conversation and love
Mm-hmm.
and connection isn't there. And at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, like also it's this struggling place as a parent, right? Like this is actually like our work. What I hear from myself, it's like this is my work in the trenches as a parent for what
Yes.
I'm committed to, what my kids learn and discover
Yes.
and develop
Yes.
about being accountable, because it is really important to me that my kids all really get what responsibility and accountability are, because there's so much power inside of that. That's where they are going to have like a life that works for themselves and all the things that they could get up to. And it's like, you know,
Yeah, that's what I want.
reliability is an important thing
That's
for
what I
me.
want
But what I can
Yeah.
hear, yeah, it becomes something. Like it's like, there's this dance that happens. So it's like there's this commitment I have that's really appropriate and actually really great. There's nothing wrong with this commitment. And
No.
there's a reaction though that can happen with that expectation. And not that again anything's wrong with the expectation or the reaction. And it doesn't forward my commitment all of a sudden, though. It puts something there where
Mm-hmm.
the opportunity for learning, the opportunity to actually forward something, like me having a reaction, doesn't actually do a lot of great communication space.
I'm really listening to you really hard.
Yeah.
Because I think you're nailing something for me. And it's actually, I want to giggle a little bit, because actually what I hear is I don't always want to be responsible for being the parent.
Right? Like, why are you making me show up as a parent? That's almost what the conversation is. Come on, I want to be the nice person. Come on.
Yeah.
We did all the work. We did all the looking. I put in all the things in place. I did this really well.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make me be the parent, kid.
Yeah, just
I'd love
do the
it.
stuff.
I'd love it. Just do it.
Aha!
We can all be just one happy family. Just
Just do it.
I love
find
that. That's so
hysterical, because it's really what's there.
It is. It's right. Like, that's hilarious. I never saw that is what's right there, but it is. It's like, how dare my child put me in a position that I get to be the parent?
And I mean, the irony of ironies is that we actually chose this, or we didn't choose it, or our body did this, or we adopted people.
Regardless, we're the parent.
We started and said, I'm the parent. But please don't make me be responsible for it. I'm sorry, I'm still dying laughing.
Oh, that is funny. And it is. It's interesting. Like, that's actually when right there, because even outside of agreements, I can hear that actually shows up. I actually can really hear I'm very resistant to being demanded upon. Like, to show up in something where there's that responsibility and accountability, which is freaking hilarious, because I'm looking for my child to be responsible and accountable, and I'm like, I'm not going to be responsible and accountable here, but you better be.
Oh, we're so
Oh,
awesome as human beings, just so you know.
yeah, that's a riot.
It really is, because we get so wound up by it, I think. Like...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what I hear even for myself, because it's like one actually thing I hear that, like, to acknowledge actually where I am and what's moved is this conversation of agreements. Often wouldn't necessarily do the looking to make an agreement with my kids. Like, when it came to something like this recycling, it would be entirely on their court. Like, it would be like, okay, sure, we'll make that up, and then it would be them on their own to manage it, right?
Yeah.
And so I can see one spot that has, like, I don't want to say the word improved, because I don't like better and improve, but one spot that I guess there's been growth and development in is that I actually, in my commitment to have their back and set them up powerfully, because there's a commitment to like set them up powerfully to
Mm-hmm.
win these agreements and to
Mm-hmm.
win their development. It's like there's a space where I will do the looking for them. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, like with them, right? Like, well, what's going to come up? We'll do that looking ahead, right? So
Mm.
that they can really get the world of the agreement that they're creating,
Wow.
so that, and I also get the world, and it's like, okay, like, oh, it's so great. Like, I even asked him, I was like, well, when, like, are there any reminders that you would like to have for
Mm.
this?
Mm.
Because, like, it's going to be normal that you're probably going to forget, and like I forget some of my things, like not as it's something to lay on him, but just like, hey, what do you need here? And like to actually
Mm-hmm.
create a partnership with him. And
Mm.
so there was actually in this agreement such a partnership created.
Mm.
And I think actually what's there for me is I think I'm almost offended. Actually, I think what's right there for me is like there's this partnership that was created and this looking, and he was showing up to it, and it was
Mm-hmm.
great. And
Mm-hmm.
then there was all this like complaint and breakdown, and it's like, wait, like I did the looking. I did the parenting. Like, you still want me to keep parenting? Like, it's that.
Yeah.
Like, it's what I actually hear. It's like
Yeah.
parenting really is that 24/7, moment to moment. And it's actually
Yeah.
more that I resist, not even the showing up as a parent. It's like
No.
the the like forevermoreness of
Yeah.
a parent.
Yeah.
That's actually what's right there. Because it's like, but
Yes.
wait, there was this looking, there was this like really great thing that was created that like, was, is something great, like,
Mm-hmm.
with the looking put in. And it still shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And of course it would, because I would show up for me, and I'm an adult, and it's a child, like it's the whole world of it. And I can just see it's like, yeah, there's almost like I'm almost offended that I need to keep showing up as a parent,
Mm-hmm.
is actually how it lives for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Yeah. Wow. That's fun.
Mm.
Yeah. And that's what my reaction. It's almost like I'm offended.
Mm.
Yeah. You can hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you did all the work. Like how, like it's lives in
Yeah.
the
How
way.
dare you? Like,
Like
I'm
how
not
dare you?
appreciated. I'm
Yeah.
not heard. I'm not seen for what I
Yeah.
did or put in.
Yeah. Isn't it so
When's somebody going to
interesting?
manage me? When's somebody going to give me a reminder and like support me through this process? Like, I turn into a child. I am one. Yeah. It's interesting.
Mm.
That's all that's right there.
Yeah.
Don't know what I want to do with all of this, but I can see it for what's there.
Yeah. But then I start to hear we could actually be compassionate, you know? That
Mm,
this is, yeah, like it's the same conversation we said. We're going to be imperfect, right? We are. We're human.
yeah, and we're
So,
perfectly imperfect.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you got offended by this. Okay.
yeah. Let's even acknowledge that, like, just to bring the humanness to the conversation, to be like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I got offended by that. Isn't that hilarious? And
Yeah.
hi, what can we create here? What's
Yeah.
needed and wanted? And there's an agreement.
Mm-hmm. It
Yeah,
doesn't stop the, see,
yeah,
that's the part.
yeah,
It
because that's the
doesn't
part I
get to
don't
the,
want to
mhm,
not. Yeah, I guess like
exactly.
too often, like I can even look over where I am in this like not this reaction of what not wanting to be the parent. It's like, I can sometimes avoid holding that space for accountability and responsibility, because sometimes in the moment it occurs easier to just like, oh, it's fine. Like, I'm just not going to show up right now. And there's a missed opportunity for their discovery in accountability and
Yeah.
responsibility, for our discovery of this kind of conversation of working these kind of things out. And
Yeah.
actually, that's what I even hear, is that whole other value of this conversation of working it out is something for them as well.
Yeah. Of course. Because
Yeah,
this is what it looks like. I mean, this is what it looks like to live in a family. This. And it's
yeah,
not just in a family. It's like
no,
wherever you go in life, this is what it looks like to
yeah.
work things out.
Yeah, and all these skills are so transferable to all of the different areas. That's what I just so hear, just so newly and freshly right here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Really
these
great.
skills of like, and it's like interesting because all of a sudden then I'm less offended, which not that I'm looking
Of
to make that
course.
But it's like, because like, is this time actually of value? Because that's actually like, is like this time being invested into this conversation, into me showing up a parent, actually going to be value? Or is it just something that's another day to just manage something to get it out of the way? And when I can actually hear the context of like, this actually is transferable skills by showing up and working out this conversation, it's so worth that investment.
It
It's
is.
so worth the investment of me showing up for another moment of
Another one of
parenting.
those. But
Because
it's
it
so
actually makes a
interesting.
difference in part of the
Yeah.
process.
We used to have these huge, like for me, they felt like huge family meetings where we'd try and like solve stuff, that everyone would get to say what they needed to do, what was there. And like it would be everyone in the lounge, big conversation. And I remember like they really took something to be in those conversations. Like it required me to show up as a parent, right? Over and over. And at the time, I had the same conversation. I keep having to do this. Is this ever going to shift? Like, is this actually worth it? Like, does this actually make a difference? But when I look at my kids, I can see what we created then is showing up now. It doesn't look the same, but the space of like, let's have this communication up on the table. Let's work it out so that everybody walks away feeling satisfied, right? It plays out over time.
Yeah. It is such an investment. Like it's really such an investment, and it does forward. And I guess it's interesting because often I think we're wired, or at least I'm wired for that like immediate results, for that immediate gratification, or for like seeing it is this actually like fulfilling the commitment, right? Like it's actually the looking, like is that commitment actually like happening and forwarding? And so often what happens I hear with parenting is like, or for myself, it's like, I'll do something once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times, maybe about that, right around that 5-time mark. And there's an expectation that somehow something's going to stick and hold. Like they should know and got it.
Yeah.
And really it's like, it's a modeling, like, parenting, what we are doing around here, at least from my viewpoint, is it's a lot of modeling of behavior. It's a lot of modeling of communication and conversation. It's a lot of running through runs of it and runs of it and runs of it, and like giving muscle and building that aspect. And it's an ongoing, ever developing process that though is moving forward. It's just often my commitments growing. Like I even hear like my commitments even growing as we're growing, that I'm not often pausing and taking stock on what has moved or what is showing up or what that investment has resulted in, I guess.
Yeah. What the dividends are.
Yeah. But
No,
it's like,
and I
these are
think,
rewarding investments.
and I think the immediacy. What I just want to say, the immediacy of parenting, especially when our people are small and when they're younger. I never gave myself the time to sit and look. But B, the second thing is, it's so like my experience was really intense parenting small kids, till my kids were like, my oldest was 8. That was really like intense, required something over and over, minute by minute, literally. And the thing about being like having a kid, it's like you have a 21-year-old almost, right? I have a 20-year-old. I can see the stuff I so fretted about that it wasn't showing up, shows up in the world.
Yeah.
And I remember when Dan was like 6 months old, reading on one of those, I used to be part of those websites, those like groups online. And somebody had an 18-year-old. She said, "Don't sweat the small stuff." I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" Like all there is, is the small stuff. Yet, and really what you're offering is that when we take on that small stuff, it grows, and then it does. There is a payout.
Yeah. Well, what I hear is like, you stand in a commitment.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of what we're about around here. You stand
really
in a
is.
commitment. The commitment can't help being. You just keep standing in that commitment. Like, I'm committed to love and connection and communication and this, even when it looks like it's not there in front of you. Like, that's why just present to you. Like, like if I can keep standing in this, like, okay, responsibility, accountability, it's this discovering, it's this learning, it's this training development, and I'm standing for something. I'm standing there. I keep bringing this commitment forward and bringing this commitment forward and coming from this commitment and what is my commitment and asking myself what's happening and bringing it to conversation. it can't help but be there. I guess is
Of
what I'm just
course.
really seeing in like a fresh way on like, especially in those moments when, yeah, you don't see it. It's like, wow, maybe I could actually rest in, like, I'm coming from a commitment.
Mm,
It's actually here
mm,
in
mm,
some future form.
mm,
Like, what if I could just honestly rest in my commitment? Okay, here's just such an opportunity there that
mm,
I'm very interested to explore more of.
mm. Well, just the ease that would come with that, right? Not
Yeah,
trying to fight to get somewhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Wow.
Committed parenting.
I know.
What's your commitment?
Right here.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Oh,
that's the
well.
opportunity inside of agreements and inside of taking on agreements. And like really like what I hear for myself to take away is that looking of where does an expectation show up and what, what can I look at from there? And not like
Mhm.
it's not even like is an expectation showing up? It's like where is the expectation showing up? Because like truthfully I'm an expectation machine. So
Yeah, well,
it's been
I don't think you're on your own. We're all
yeah,
expectation machines. Should
yeah,
be this way. And then really looking. The agreement is distinct from the expectation, right?
yeah. And what am I going to interact with is what I hear
Yeah.
for myself. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Really great. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for this
Thank you.
conversation.
So
I
much
look
love.
forward to more.
Yeah.
So again, Monday to Friday, 12:30 p.m. Pacific for committed parenting conversations of families thrive. See you tomorrow.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.